Very simple, very subtle. They don't cost a tremendous amount of money, and nobody's going to know. The average person is not going to know that the car is modified. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the best subtle aesthetic modifications to do for your 350Z. Now, a lot of you are not going to agree with me. A lot of you like to do mods that stand out, the big wings, the body kits, where you're basically changing all the characteristics of the car. And that's totally cool. But I want to talk about the stealth mods you can do for the OEM Plus look that only the enthusiasts are going to know. These modifications are very simple, very subtle. They don't cost a tremendous amount of money, and nobody's going to know. The average person is not going to know that the car is modified. But first of all, some of the things you don't want to do in the interior. I know a lot of people like to tack carbon fiber on the interior, the carbon fiber stickers right here on the gauge cluster, around the shifter and the center console. I wouldn't do any of that. Maybe here, sometimes it looks good here, but it looks obvious when you put carbon fiber over these pieces. It looks obvious that it's not factory. I mean, this is what it is. It's a bare bones sports car interior. The interior on the 350Z isn't supposed to be exotic. It's just supposed to be a purpose-built place. It's not a luxury car. It's a sports car. For the most part, just leave the interior how it is. It's a 350Z. It's never going to look like a Ferrari on the inside or a Porsche, and that's totally fine. All right, so the number one modification for the OEM Plus look is, what do you guys think? What do you think it is? Wheel spacers, so you can keep your stock wheels. You want to do wheel spacers and the extended studs, because this car needs good size spacers. I mean, not everybody agrees on the size, what the ideal size is. What I have is 15 in the front and 20 in the rear. That's what I like. A lot of people go a little more aggressive. They go 20 in the front and 25 in the rear. And I'd say that's about as far as you can go without it looking obvious. When you start going 25 in the front and 30 in the rear, it starts to look obvious. But your average person is not going to know. They're not going to know that this car has wheel spacers. This looks factory. Your average person is not going to know. They're still tucked in just a little bit. Just a little bit. And you definitely don't want to cheap out. You gotta get good spacers. I went with Z1 Motorsports spacers and the extended studs, because you want to do it right. But it definitely improves the look of the car dramatically, if you ask me. And you can keep the stock wheels, because the stock wheels look good, especially the stock rays. I love the stock rays. So I'd say that's your number one stealth modification. Number two, I like these headlights. A lot of people don't like the early headlights. They prefer the later headlights on these cars. What I did is I put a stealth bulb in. That bulb is usually amber. With the stealth bulb, it just lights up amber when you use your turn signals. It really improves the overall look of the headlights, if you ask me. And it's a very simple modification. Again, your average person is not going to notice this. Only your enthusiast is going to notice. And I like these headlights. Nobody seems to like these early headlights. I think they look awesome, man. Go back to 2003, look at headlights, and I'm telling you, there aren't many other headlights, especially from non-luxury and non-exotic cars, that look as good as these headlights. These headlights look awesome. I mean, look at that. One thing I am going to do, and I know I've been talking about this in my videos, is I'm going back to amber here. This isn't bad, it's just not my preference. I'd rather match the headlight here, so I'm going to go back to amber. It's just a pain in the ass. You got to take the bumper off to change those, unfortunately. I'm going to be deleting this, putting some bumper plugs in and deleting this soon because this drives me nuts. I've just been putting it off. Oh, that's enough. That's for another video, so stay tuned for that if you want to see how to do that. But I love it with the spacers, and this is stock height. Now, if you do lower it, what I would do, I would just lower it slightly, 20, 30 millimeters, because it's not bad from the factory. I mean, it's not low by any means, but it's not hideous to where you got to drop this thing, you know. Next modification, very inexpensive. Change the antenna. There's a bunch of different aftermarket brands you could get. Some of them have stickers. I had a Perrin shorty antenna before, but it had a sticker on it with the name Perrin, and I didn't like that. So this is a Honda 2000 antenna, and I think it's perfect. It's half the size of the OEM antenna, and again, nobody is going to notice this except for the enthusiast. Nobody's going to notice that except for the enthusiast. My exhaust is still stock. I do want to upgrade the motor dyne, hard pipes, and Shockwave TDX2. I like the rear wiper. A lot of people delete these rear wipers. I think they look cool. Most people seem to hate the rear wiper. But if you delete it, I don't know, if you delete it and then you have that little case that covers this up here, or whatever it is, the little box, I think that looks worse than the wiper. I say keep the wiper. So that's it. You keep it really, really simple if you want the OEM Plus look. The other thing I would do is a plenum spacer, which I don't have, which can't be seen, because that's about as stealthy as you can get for a mod on the Z. It's still, in terms of a performance mod, the plenum spacer is the way to go. You know, these cars look fantastic. Tell me this doesn't look fantastic with an OEM Plus look. So many of these cars have been clapped out and ruined with cheap modifications, and that's why they have a bad reputation. Spend the money and buy the best products that you can afford. Don't put cheap stuff on your car. I don't care what kind of car it is. You see so many cars that have crappy wheels, and you're better off with factory wheels and a good stance than crappy wheels that cheapen the entire look of the car. Anyway guys, what are your thoughts? What do you think are the best stealth modifications for the 350Z? I know a lot of you are not going to agree with me, and that's fine. We all have our own preferences and our own taste, but those are mine. Definitely the wheel spacers, I would say number 1, the stealth bulbs, number 2, and number 3, I would say the shorty antenna. Number 4, I would say don't do anything stupid. But comment below, I'd like to know your thoughts. Like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.